So, good evening to all the viewers. Hope you're all doing good. So, here with me, Dr. Amjad Razal. So, let's begin this conversation first by remembering the Almighty in the name of God, the most beneficent and the merciful. So, Dr. Amjad, sir, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Shafiq.
First and foremost, thank you for accepting my invitation, sir. And please allow me to introduce you to my viewers.
Sure.
Dr. Amjad Razal is an educator as well as a researcher. He has accomplished remarkable things in his career. Like he was appointed as the principal of a CBSE school at a very young age, and he also received numerous awards, proving his dedication to teaching as well as learning. Am I right, sir?
Yeah.
And very recently, he has also won the India Book of Records holder. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you would have published a book on learning maths concepts in a very easy way, right, sir?
It is not a book, basically.
Okay.
It is a research paper which I
Okay.
actually
Mm-hmm.
published for my work, especially, to claim the title, especially
Mm-hmm.
giving different, a concept, a lesson in 100 different ways. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not limited to maths, but if it is English, math, science, or any subject that we give, even from higher education, business studies, or anything. So I can, with my research and those using those techniques, I can prove it to you that a particular lesson for any class and any set of students, can be taught in multiple different ways.
I see. So is it also covers about integrated learning, sir? I mean, by
Yes.
linking other subjects. Okay, fine. So we'll come
All
to this.
those,
Yeah, yes, sir.
yeah, all those ways are about, there are activity based learning, and it also, allows you to integrate a lot of stuff into it.
Okay, okay, fine, sir. So let's begin this conversation. Let me ask you a few questions related to your journey in educational field.
Sure.
Okay, so shall I begin with that?
Yeah, please go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
actually looking forward to receiving your getting your questions, and I'm happy to answer those.
sure, sir, sure, sir. So my first question for you: what inspired you to become a teacher? I mean, is it a matter of passion or did you just happen to become a teacher, sir? It was a little personal.
Mr. Shafiq, I'll be very honest with you. I come from a background, and especially, I'm from Hyderabad. So even now, technology innovation is always a buzz in Bangalore and Hyderabad, in all the major cities. So back then, I think since when I was in grade seven, grade five, seven, eight, during that time only, I had this passion, I had this dream to become a software engineer.
Okay.
Okay. And as a matter of fact, many of my friends, of my batchmates, they are engineers, and I am the only one who is in the education sector. But many of my friends are basically they are engineers.
Engineers.
So I actually wanted to become the software engineer, and after my plus two, and my father, actually there was a different plan basically. So all the way from Hyderabad, my father sent me to Tamil Nadu. I was in Umrabad, very near to Vaniambadi. So I was there studying Islamic education, graduation. So I was there for 5 years. So until then also, I did not change my plan. I always wanted to go back. And once the graduation was complete, I thought,
Mhm.
okay, I'll restart and I'll pursue my dream and I'll become the software engineer.
Mhm.
But I remember it was the year 2012, 13 something. Actually, I never decided to be or never wanted to be in education sector back then. Okay, so in the history of that particular college where I studied, for the first time there was a campus interview. So out of, you say, 44, 45 students, many of them, they attended the interview, they participated, and 10 were selected. And
I see.
actually, one of my favorite lecturers there, he told me, Amjad, so see, if you become a teacher, you can inspire millions of people, you can, bring the change, you can do a
Mhm.
lot. And basically, whatever change I bring in, especially, by inspiring the students and their education, it's like long lasting and sustainable. So I actually, because immediately when you graduate, the first thing you need is a job. So I thought, okay, let's do one thing. Let's start teaching as a profession. And today I actually, I I became teacher, and luckily and fortunately, I always thank Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for this. I was in Kerala, and that was a school who that provided us a lot of training, how to teach, how to plan a lesson, how to differentiate the instruction, and there were so many things. So that is when in the first few months also I was actually talking to myself, like, am I in the right career? Like, do I really have to be the teacher? But maybe the plan was really big that time, so I actually took everything seriously, and whatever training that was offered to me, I was implementing that. I think that brought a lot of change and transformation in my skills and my career. So even now, if I attend any session, I actually look forward to implement the learning, the strategies that I learn, the facts that I come across, and that is when I see whether this is really helping or not. So 2013, I think, when I was in this particular field, that is when actually you can say this was a profession by chance, but I made a choice that time. Okay, okay, I have to be in this particular field. And yeah, from 2013, there was a lot of learning and development going on, and Alhamdulillah, I've come so far.
Absolutely. So since you started your career in the Kerala, so Kerala is known for 100% literacy rate as well as the innovation, right? So I might have got a lot of ideologies from them, right?
Yeah, the good thing about the people of Kerala, especially when it comes to education, they are eager to learn. They implement new things. They try out new different stuff, and they always allow you to, if you have got a good idea, a better idea, you can implement that in the classes in your school, and then definitely, that is how I got to learn a lot. And
Nice.
actually, 2 years, I worked at a state board school, and then I moved to an IGCSE school, because 2 years working there, I'm actually a fast learner, and sometimes it's in my psychology, in my particular, my perspective, my point of thinking, that when I learn something and the next year I need some more challenging, like, I always look for something that is more challenging, which gives me something to learn, something to understand, something to acquire in terms of skills or whatever you say. So I worked at an IGCSE school, and then 4 years of experience. I was 23 and a half years old, I guess, or 24. I was given this chance to be the principal of a CBSE school in Kerala itself with 1,200 students, something.
Oh, okay.
So that was a massive challenge for me as a principal, a newly joined principal, and that to lead nearly 1,000 students with nearly 2,000 parents, like both mother and father,
I see.
compared
Mm.
together. So I took that literally as a challenge, and then 2 years I worked there, and that is how 6 years of my journey came to an end, and I was back to Hyderabad. So all those 6 years, I actually, I'm very grateful to the people of Kerala, that they always gave me the chance to learn something and to implement that.
Mm.
So that is how I guess learning by doing, and by involving myself into different activities and different programs. I think
Mm.
I learned what I was supposed to learn.
So with the same context, I'd like to ask another question. Because same thing like you, I also started my career in a CBSE school, and then I moved on to a state board school, and now I'm working in a government school. So here, what I found challenging was the CBSE school students, their atmosphere, their strategies, their level of thinking, their infrastructure, everything was quite different. Whereas when we come down to some state board schools or government schools, it's a quite different atmosphere. And not only that, when we look at the curriculum also, so in India we have different boards like CBSE, state board, IGCSE, ICSE, and so on. So why is it that curriculum framework is not followed in the same pattern? Why there is a lot of difference in each curriculum? Can you please
Yeah,
give
Mr.
insight?
Steve, what
Yeah.
I would tell you is, see, if you look at India as a nation, I'll tell you something, that India is a land of diversity, and there is a lot of diversity you will find in each and every different state. So if I come to Tamil Nadu, so definitely there are different types of people living over there, and each and every person they have got the different needs. So in India, especially whichever state you may go to, so everywhere you will find this kind of need. So basically, depending on the need, there are different things offered to them. So yes, there is national curriculum framework which guides all the different boards and the top boards that prescribe a different curriculum to the schools to follow. So we have NCRT. Then if I talk about NCRT, basically CBSE follows NCRT. And then if you look at different states also, they have got their own SCRT, which
Absolutely.
is the line of the same guidelines given by NCF or you say NCRT, whatever. But if you look at the curriculum, Tamil Nadu, there are few differences in the curriculum, in the skills, and when you come back to Telangana, there is a difference there. And when you go to Karnataka, you will find some difference over there. So depending on the people, the demographics basically. So when you look at the different demography, because the culture is different, the people
That's
are
right.
different, the way the people look at things is different. Because I'll tell you, I can give you my example. I was in Kerala, I was in Tamil Nadu, I was in Karnataka. I also, I went to Mumbai for a few days. I spoke to a few educators over there. I went to New Delhi, Chandigarh, and all these places. And basically, I'm from Telangana. And before that, it was Andhra Pradesh. So mostly, South India, by the grace of God, I have covered, and I have literally seen the culture of the people. So it's not just the culture, the way the people, they think, the way they respond to the different situations, everything is different. And basically, being in the senior leadership for many years and talking to different parents all the time, so I've always come across. So these differences, is actually it's part of our diversity, and that is why whatever curriculum you look at, okay, there is a difference to cater to different types of people or according to
Absolutely.
different demographics. So now, like, see, state board school, basically whichever state that is, if they're following ACRT, so some parents they want their kids to be, to have the national level kind of recognition or something like that. They opt for NCRT, and NCRT, it has got different benefits, different features, and all that stuff. So now there are parents who want their kids to go international. They want international standards, the educated people, So for them, basically, if you look at IGCSE or IB or any international curriculum, somewhere you will find the difference. You will not find a big difference, big between the curriculum over there that is offered by all the top international boards and NCF that is basically there. NCF or NCRT, whatever you say, it gives you a broader perspective of something, right? It's very broad. And these curriculum, SCRT, NCRT, or any other, whatever you say, it makes it, into particular specific category. So yeah, that I believe if you if the parents really want their kids to have international standard, so it's not a problem at all to go ahead with IGCSE or IB or any other thing. So it is required because the people are different, the needs are different. That is why we cannot be, like North Korea, where whatever the government says or one
Oh,
particular threat of the security,
absolutely.
so each and everything to the limit, to that extent, they have to follow each and everything. So India has always been a diverse place. That is why you're finding all these differences.
Recently, especially when we talk about Tamil Nadu's curriculum, the SCRT, so it is somewhat aligning with NCRT syllabus.
Obviously, yes.
Because right now, what I'm teaching in the SCRT books of Tamil Nadu, it has got more contents, more problem solving things, as well as higher order questions and all. And it was like a sudden shift. It happened some 6 years back.
Yes.
It was like a sudden shift. So for the children, those who are studying in state board and government schools, slowly, gradually, they are improving right now. And
Yes.
so many schemes also they have got.
Yeah,
So with
and
that
I
one,
also I also must say that now if you are comparing any state's SCRT or NCRT or whatever you say, because of the new innovations, new stuff, and all that, whatever is happening around in the world. So all these, I mean, the curriculum, different curricula, they are also going to that particular international standard, where there are literally things. Okay, there are skills, there are competencies in each and every different subject. The only thing is the proper training to the teachers or the education leaders like principals, vice principals, or directors of those particular schools. I think somewhere, mostly, I don't say like for sure, but it's happening. that they are actually maybe not aware of many things, or maybe there are literally some challenges according to different demographics, different states, and whatever the needs they have got. Because see, any international thing that you bring in India, it will not be, if you are implementing that also, you will not find that success
Absolutely.
unless and until you make some changes into it according to Indian standard, because the Indian need is different. You cannot
Absolutely.
change anything. For example, now a few months back, you heard this. Even IB organization, they are going to offer curriculum support or something to Delhi government schools. So
Delhi government.
yeah, why Delhi government out of all the different states is taking the initiative to take their SCRT, their curricula to that international level, right? So somewhere,
Mm.
actually there is a, I mean, two ways you can look at it, by two ways. I mean, there are two ways to look here. First is these different, I mean, state level curriculum. If they really want to take it to international standard, they are tying up with international organization, right? But when you study that in depth, you will find that even in SCRT, maybe out of 10, there are, according to international standards, there may be five things that are already there.
Mm.
You are only bringing five things, or maybe you are bringing only two things from international curriculum of international people. There is
So
nothing
which
big.
means it's all about the proper training as well as implementation, right?
Proper training and proper implementation. Because now you see, previous national education policy, which was NPE that time, National Policy on Education, 1986. 1986, you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was the year when it was launched. And now, when this 2020 came, NEP 2020, if you read that, if you go through that, in the preface itself, the chairman of the committee, he has mentioned that we were fully not able to implement or achieve the desired goals or the targets which were mentioned in the previous policy. So the
Mm.
implementation of that previous one took nearly 20 years, for example, 30
Yes.
years, 30, 40 years, for example.
Like
Okay.
almost 3 decades. Yeah.
It took that much of time, because now gradually the schools are picking up. Gradually the schools are coming in the front line, and they're taking so many different initiatives. Now if you go to any school, even if it is not an international school, any CBSE school, if you may say, the strategies, the teachers and the education leaders there, they're doing an amazing job. They're studying, they're doing the research, and there are many schools who are actually investing on their R&D, research and development. So basically, they have to go through all that is there, bring some international standard into their schools. So now my question is, see, if you look at any local school in India, okay, with, you say, 600 students or 700, 800 students, the school which is really doing good. So if you study those strategies they're implementing in terms of teaching, in terms of learning, whatever, okay, the same thing you will find in international schools. There is no difference. The only thing
There's
is,
no.
we are so obsessed with the word international that already some good work is going on and we are not recognizing it.
Absolutely. That's
So
right. Yeah.
any academic leader, the only thing is, see, for example, if you study the Finland strategy or whatever, okay, there may be 10 good things over there, right? And here also there are few things there that are really happening. But where we are actually going wrong is we are not able to evaluate them properly,
Mm.
recognize them, identify them, and say that we have done something.
I've done something. Correct.
Right.
Mm.
So yes, a lot of good work is going on, and I believe 5 years from now, or 10 years, 10 years from now, maybe there will be a positive change in the different states, and according to different regions. There's a lot of stuff going on now, just to uplift our curriculum, or to have our students that kind of exposure. You may see that many schools are now trying this financial literacy. They're bringing so many activities, or maybe the frameworks or the programs into the schools, where students are exposed to financial terms, terminologies. And some of the schools, especially I must say, some of the government schools also, government, in different regions, they are also providing some kind of fund to the students of grade 11 and 12, or maybe 9 and 10, 11 and 12, to come up with an idea, start their own business idea or whatever that is, and pursue. So this is actually something, I'll tell you, this is, you have to look at this as a long term thing. Now, the students who are getting this opportunity, after 5 years or 10 years, they'll be totally different. I mean, the way they look at the things, the way they pursue, there'll be a lot of change. So we have to wait for few things. Yes, it may take some time, but if you look at a long-term vision, yes, the work is going on. And yeah, in some places it depends on the region also. If you are in a city, or you may see that change. And if the schools are in rural India, like villages or something, yeah, gradually it may take some time, but things will come for sure.
So the next question, which I was supposed to ask you, I think part of it you have answered in this question itself.
You can
It
ask.
is about, yeah, the infrastructure. So when you talk about the government schools or any other public schools, they will have limited infrastructure. And another child, for instance, if he is studying in a very good school, in a private school where they have extensive infrastructure, do you think they learn the same way?
Same thing. What?
Same way in the sense, what I can say, innovative way.
See, what I'll tell you is, if you're talking about the infrastructure, okay, yes, there are schools where you will find extensive infrastructure, and there are many schools where there is nothing. So when I say, I'll just clarify my point. If you look at the data published by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, so 2 years now, 2 years from now, there was this report published where the data was collected from different schools out of thousands and lakhs of schools in India. So 10 to 20% or 15% of those schools, government schools, really had library or the science lab, whatever. Okay. And there are some private schools, the ratio, the percentage is a little bit higher. But I say, maybe 80% of these schools, they really do not have the infrastructure. But the learning is going on. Now, to answer your question, yes, the schools that have this extensive infrastructure, yes, there will be obviously a difference. Yes. And the schools, those who are especially, deprived of this opportunity, yes, they will be continuing with their own academics, or they must be having their own programs. But when you have certain things, like for a science subject, if you do not have a science lab, so the students, they are all learning the theory. They don't know how anything practical. And for example, if you are bringing some coding classes, like something like in higher grades, I mean Python or Java, whatever that is. So the schools that have the proper computer lab with an internet connection, yes, students will get the chance to practice it, right. And the schools, if they have they do not have the infrastructure. I have seen schools where there is no computer class period itself. Computer subject
Right.
is not even there, because the management decided, okay, when we are not even we do not have the infrastructure. So what's the point of teaching that? It depends on the region as well. It depends on their own challenges, because to start a school, it's not a joke. You need
It's not.
vehicles, you need hard cash, you need so much of money. There are government schools, like there are some private aided schools also, where the government, they give them some fund, and there are different schemes also given by the government, from the central government. Like, I remember there was one something called IDMI, if I'm wrong, I don't know. So there are different schemes where the government will give nearly 50 lakhs cash, depending on the different eligibility criteria. So you look at how they have to do some development work at the school. So different schemes are there, yes, but obviously there will be a massive difference between having infrastructure and not having infrastructure.
Um, my next question to you is, during COVID, so many students, not only many, almost everybody, I hope so, they suffered a lot, especially on the reading and writing skills. And now, last year when the schools began functioning normally, what I observed was actually, especially those who are in sixth, seventh, and eighth standard, those who are in secondary level, they were finding very difficult to read and write. So which means something I mean, something has not happened in the primary level, and innovation is completely missing among them. There is no creative thinking among them. I mean, forget about creativity. I'm just talking about simple LSRW skills which they are lacking. What's your say on that? How we can improve? We are not able to improvise them suddenly. So how we can bring this shift again, once again?
Mr. Shafiq, I can make a point over here that any learning, if it is not long lasting, it is not learning.
Absolutely.
Temporarily, you are teaching concepts, you are making the students understand the concepts in something, and you're not exactly checking how really, how much they have understood and how effectively they have understood. So there is a problem. So the teachers normally in schools, what they do, I mean, those schools, not particularly all schools, because there are very good schools now. Okay, they really check how much the students have their understanding and how well they are doing. So see, there are schools where the problem is teachers, they teach the concept and they just move to the next one, or they have this pressure from the management or from the principal to cover up the portions because exams are you know approaching. So the teachers, what they do, they just explain the stuff, they ask the students to simply memorize. So this was happening at most of the schools. That is where the problem actually was. That's where the problem is. So if the schools, they were focusing only on understanding, like for example, I'm teaching this lesson, you understood this, and you are able to explain it in your own way. I don't want you to tell me everything in English. You explain it in your own language, mother tongue also. It's not a problem at all. Because if a child is able to explain something in his own mother tongue, that means he got the concept. Because whatever the topics we are teaching, basically these are all concepts, right?
Exactly.
Like for example, in maths also, you teach different things. Like you teach statistics, you teach data, or whatever. I'm not a maths expert. So whatever things that we teach in maths also, those are actually the concepts. So where to implement those? Where to implement or where to use that particular concept? You have different exercises, right? If I don't know the concept of the statistics, I will not be knowing where exactly I'm going to implement it. So these schools, they had this problem. They were having their own traditional method of teaching and everything. And in lockdown, what happened? Whatever students they learned, they forgot, right? So that is why I say, if learning is not long lasting, and to make learning long lasting, you have to use a different strategy. That means you have to focus on the skills, not on the written or the printed text there, or the map or the diagram or something like that, whichever is available over there. So if the schools, they're focusing on the comprehension of the students, so definitely, if you teach anything, they know how to store that in their head, how to remember that. Anytime, after 5 years also, you ask them, they'll be able to tell.
Mhm. So it's
So
just like many are focusing only on red learning than making them understand about the
yeah,
concepts.
and if you are talking about LSRW, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, so see, not 2 years, forget about COVID. I have been to some certain schools where even a 10th class student was not knowing the spelling or the meaning of hopping. So when I ask a student, just tell me the meaning, what is the meaning of hopping? So first, they made a mistake in the pronunciation. They were reading that as hoping.
Okay. Okay.
When you write hoping, you write only one P, right?
One thing.
Hoping. Is that the pronunciation? So when it is hopping, there are two P in it. So they don't know the meaning. Glenn, CBSE school, 10th class. Come on.
So they have
So
completed the entire 11 years.
yeah, they spend their entire 11 years there. And what is the result? What is the outcome? So that brings to us, and that brings us to this conclusion that
So
the
in
teachers.
this limelight, once again, I just come back to one more question. Sorry for interruption. So the same scenario I have met recently. So a boy is studying in class 10 currently. Uh, I understood that he has some learning disability. But when we compare to the class where 50 students are studying, we can say at least 5 to 10 students have such learning disability. As you said, when they used to write any letters, okay, they just interchange it, right? Instead of B, they're writing it like B. So it's something like dyslexic kind of thing they have. Uh, in such case, I am unable to exactly give concentration on him, full attention on him, because if I start giving full attention to him alone during the class hours, so others will get affected. Those who are learning perfectly, those who are having very good learning prospects, they will find difficult. So how to tackle these situations?
Mr. Shafiq, there are two things here. The first thing I'll tell you is, see, there are teachers, when the students don't respond to them or they don't answer the questions. So maybe after a month or 2 months, they consider that student as a slow learner, or maybe the child has learning disability, or maybe he's, making these errors while writing or whatever that is. Okay. First of all, we are not the ones to decide what the learning disability is. There are experts for that. They examine the student and then they come to the conclusion what percentage of learning disability the child has. And in learning disability, yes, there are different levels also. Okay, it's not simply, you see a student not responding to you for 2 3 months, and his notes are totally incomplete and whatever XYZ. We call that student as a learning. He is a disability learning a student with a disability. Okay, that's the first thing. So I'll give an example. I actually was speaking to a teacher a few months back at some school. Okay. So the teacher was telling me that the child is autistic. So I asked the teacher, how do you, Mr. Shafiq?
I'm online. I'm online.
Okay.
No, it was just switching
So
it.
I asked the teacher that how do you say the child is autistic? Then the teacher said, no, the child is, dyslexic. So then I asked, okay, first confirm whether he is autistic or dyslexic. The teacher did not have any answer.
They don't have okay.
First, we need experts or those particular strategies to define whether the child is really having this disability or not. Now,
Absolutely.
the second thing which you're talking about, see, there are different learners in the classroom. When we know the way they learn, then we have to change our teaching strategies. Okay. This has always been a question asked by many teachers, that there are different students in the classroom. How can we teach everybody at the same time? Okay, that is why we go with the traditional method or whatever that is. See, I'll tell you, all this depends on effective planning. Okay. I have seen, especially in school, where even I'm working right now, the teachers, especially they go with different strategies, different teaching strategies that they're implementing. Where normally what they do, they are teaching the concept and they're moving around, and for certain students like like learning disability or whatever you say, there are different things, like there are worksheets for them. There are different things where the teacher is engaging the students who do not need continuous or the teacher's instruction all the time. She
Okay.
engages them in some work, in a group or a pair work, whatever they're doing it, and the teacher is spending the time with those students. And now that also depends in the design of the classroom. Yes,
Absolutely.
how the teacher is placed and how the teacher can make movements between the benches and all that. So yes, you can do one thing: group the students who can learn together, learn at the same time. Give them one particular thing as a strategy, or ask them certain questions, or create that learning opportunity for them by any means. Now, for those particular students, you are going with a different strategy. You be with them, be there for 10 minutes or 20 minutes with them, because you have got ideally 40 minutes of time.
45 minutes. Yeah.
So how you divide it? The first 10 minutes you can use for your instruction, introducing the concept or whatever, the topic that you are teaching. Then the next 10 15 minutes you are giving them a task. Okay, or you are writing something on the board, or you are displaying something and you're asking them to think, make your own point, discuss that stuff with one another and come to some points so that they can tell that later. And that particular time, the same time, you are with the other students. So there are different ways of doing, catering to different types of learners. So ideally what I'll say is, if the teacher knows that there are different learners and their needs are different, once you have a different strategy in place, like two or three strategies, teaching strategies, yes, you can tackle this problem and you can come to some good learning experience in the class.
Okay. One more thing I want to ask you.
Yes.
Now, the learning disability in a child, if we are able to identify in the primary level itself, it is easy for us to fix, because when it comes to SSC or higher secondary, before that itself we can able to resolve this issue. Now, suppose if a child is already in +1 or +2, somehow he cleared all the exams. Now he is unable to cope up with all the subjects. Can we involve him in more life skills activities than to just teach curriculum or subjects? Will it
See,
help?
Learning disability, I'll tell you, if the disability is about uh, reading and writing, or is the child following your instruction? Yes. Whatever task you're giving, he may take some time, but he is following instructions. Only when it comes to writing or reading has a problem. So involve him in different things, right? You can go ahead with all the other plans. The best example, you must have watched this movie Tare Zameen Par.
Yes.
The child was having a problem, so what the teacher did, with the help of through arts, with the help of art and all that stuff, he found that the child is really good in arts. So he focused on that particular skill, and he made him do that, practice it, and ultimately, he should become the master of it. Yes, in the movie, they have shown, where in the end, the child, he'll be like fully okay with everything. For some students, it definitely takes some time. It is not that quick. Okay, it takes some time. But if you think that only reading and writing is a problem, but why are we limiting everything to those particular tasks? There are so many other things to do, right? The child, look, you must have read this book by Stephen R. Covey. The name of the book is The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Somewhere in the book, he has mentioned that if a child is weak in one particular area or department, at the same time, he'll be very good in another department. You see, in many schools, the backbenchers, basically, we say that they take a lot of time to learn, they are slow learners, but when you leave them to play, they are excellent players. But they are football, volleyball, cricket. How is that even possible? How do they even know the rules of those of that particular game? And how are they so particular about each and everything? How are they master of it? The child may be a hero in studies, but he is like, he can, when he is opening, he can hit a six, or maybe he can make a century also, right? He's a talented person. He can be an all-rounder. So we do not have to limit certain things, to certain tasks. Okay, so many things to do. Yes, you teach them life skills or soft skills or whatever. Okay, and there are different competencies also. If something is not matching, give them try, check regularly whether they're making progress. But the other things they can, which they can do better, offer them at the same time. Okay, and let them become the master of it, and then gradually this is also will be like they will be recovering, progressing.
But most of the times, I mean, when we work in a school, so either the parents' expectation or the management's expectation, it is solely based on the results because they want 100% result or they want like complete pass out. Now, if I focus only on life skills for these particular set of students, and in case if they fail, okay, so how we have to, you know, satisfy both the management, parents as well as the student.
Mr. Shafiq, I think the answer to this question is, see, many schools are trying to create this awareness among parents, and now so many educated parents. Okay, the parents, especially those who are born between 90 and 2000, and 2000 and 2010. Okay, not 2010, they can't be parents. So, that particular age, the educated parents, basically, whenever they are, whatever year they were born. So, see, these educated parents now they are aware. They, especially, they have to focus on the skills and the result. To some parents, yes, it is important, but now also there are parents who really don't bother about the results. They want the child to learn, have the learning experience and all that stuff. Okay, I'm telling in general, but majority of the parents, if I say, yes, there are parents who are still not coming out of that particular zone, and I'm sure the parents who are basically from cities, you can see a lot of change, a lot of difference between the parents who are from the city and parents from the village. And yes, there are parents from the villages also, those who are actually focusing on, they want their kids to actually have the learning experience and learn, go to school, come back, and identify what they're really good at, and they're helping them, right? So it's a mixed answer, but yes, at the same time, I can tell you, yes, there are many parents even today, they only want their kids to perform really well. I can give an example. At a school I was working as a principal in Kerala, there was a parent. He came to me and said, my child is not able to read Arabic because we had an Arabic language over there. So can you just ask the Arabic teacher to do something? I asked him, okay, how is he in maths, English, and the other subjects? So he said, I really don't care about maths, English, or any other thing. I'm sending him to school because your school is offering Arabic. And I only want him to learn Arabic because if I die, the child should come to my grave and he should recite Yasin, Surah Yasin on my grave and for my good. So we have this kind of parents out. So
Now, one more thing is what, I mean, as per my understanding, what I thought was for any subject to learn, language competency is very important, right? So, a child, if he is learning in English medium means he should be able to speak or able to write English on his own. Then he can become a master of it, right?
yeah, because see, there is a reason why that English, the school is an English medium school,
Mm.
right? When there is a Tamil medium school or a Telugu medium school, Urdu medium school, or any other regional language, that medium school, and the parent they made the choice, this decision that okay, I want my child to study at an English medium school. Okay,
Mm.
the child went to an English medium school 10 years, he didn't do anything, he didn't learn anything.
He can
So
think
what's the point of having an English medium school when everybody is speaking their own regional language? During lockdown, I actually happened to meet some parent. He asked me, they're basically my neighbors. So they asked me to teach their kids who were in 10th standard that time. Their board exam was like 45 days close. So the parent asked me just to take classes math and all that and whatever. So I said okay fine, it's fine. Exams are there, so I have to teach them. And the first day itself, I checked their knowledge. It was a basic multiplication question and division question. Okay, which the students learn in grade three, like two numbers divided by two numbers, or two numbers multiplied by two numbers. Grade 10 students they were not able to do that. I was like, come on. In maths questions, especially of your grade, it will be very complicated question. How will you even understand that?
Absolutely.
When parent and I said, sorry, this is a very short period of time and I cannot really help them, man, because it's very pathetic. He asked me for the reason and I gave them the proof. I was like, come on, this is the reason I don't want to teach these kids because I don't want to take the responsibility at this last, I mean, the very end. That
Mm.
tomorrow, the students, I don't know whether they pass or they fail, but everything will come back to the teacher only. They'll ask me, what did you do?
Yeah.
But I was asking, even I told this to the parent, you go to the school where they studied and ask those teachers, ask them 10 years, I spent lakhs of rupees in these past 10 years for these two kids. And what did you offer?
Correct.
So,
Absolutely, it's a point. Because most of the schools, even I have observed, even though it is an English medium school, teachers themselves they don't communicate in English. That's also become one of the problem.
yeah,
Because
it's the
when,
same thing. I'll
yeah,
tell you, I can give another example. In Kerala, there was a school where they had Urdu as a language. Okay, I was really surprised. The government school there having Urdu language. So I happened to meet the Urdu teacher over there. I mean, a male teacher there. So I spoke to him in Urdu. He was not even able to speak Urdu properly.
he is speaking to you in Malayalam.
He was speaking to me in Malayalam. I was asking him, in Urdu, and he said something in Tutti Putti Hindi. I said, "You are speaking Hindi, which is itself is not correct." And then
Absolutely.
how exactly you are teaching Urdu, man? Come on. So yes, this is a situation, but yes, there is a change also, and I'm telling you frankly, and it may be criticism also. See, when we talk about change, you will see this change in very limited schools. If you say 15 lakh schools in India, you will see this change or something maybe in 10,000 or 20,000 schools, or maybe 30, 40,000, if I'm too generous. But at many schools, the kids they go, they learn a lot of stuff, they spend their time, and they come back, and basically, after that, after graduation, they go to, their higher education. So
Absolutely.
these kids, in their actually whatever they are practicing in life, running their business or whatever, okay, they are actually learning by everything by themselves. Some most of the times they learn through experiences and the life, whatever the life is offering them. So some point when they are becoming adults, that is when they think, okay, this is very
That's when they
important.
realize. Absolutely.
This is very important to me. I have to learn this. They're learning it and they're getting a job, getting good salary, and they're really earning. But schools are really failing to create a good example where students, they have a very sustainable growth, or maybe that kind of learning experiences, which will definitely help them build their amazing career.
Nowadays, what I'm observing in some of the students is they are addicted to social media platforms.
Yes.
And let me tell you, for a school where the learning should happen in a perfect manner, discipline should be very important. Now, because of this social media addicts, so they are now engrossed in web series or WhatsApp or whatever it is, Instagram. So because of that, their lifestyle itself has been changed. The respect towards the teacher, how they are supposed to give, it's not happening. So, what message will you convey to such students in order to come out of it?
Mr. Shafiq, I have a different opinion here. Yes, yeah, a lot of negative stuff is going on. So many scams are going on. So many crimes are also happening, and there are students also who are falling prey to all these things. And so much of the kind of content that we see on social media, which is not child friendly. So basically, it's like student children, especially, they are watching all that. But we cannot I cannot say that we have to stop it, because yes, of course, it depends on the place you live in, the region, the demographics, everything matters. So if you're living in a city, and then if you're asking your child not to use mobile phone, or especially not to spend a lot of time on this thing. See, the way they handle, the content that they see on social media, somewhere it really helps them understand few things. They learn some ideas, because now if I'm opening my social media as a person, so if I'm spending 1 hour also, at least one or two or few things, they definitely be there, which will definitely giving me some idea. Okay, something like that is also happening. This can also be done. So if there are, it depends on the person also. If there are students, of that particular age, simply wasting their time, spending a hell of a time on social media, using their mobile phones, or maybe using the laptop, whatever, and they are, watching the content which is not supposed to be seen or something, then the parents can come over there and they can make some restrictions, or maybe take the phone or something like that. So to some extent, yes, but there are cases where the mobile phone was not given, the child committed suicide, or the child killed the mother or the father. These are also the extreme cases.
Extreme
But I'll
cases.
tell you, yeah, I'll tell you something. See, whatever technological advancement that we see, it's, I can say this as a contemporary need of the people. Okay, so we cannot stop it, because I remember when I was at school during those years, especially when this kind of advancement was not there. But I remember, my friends and I, we used to go to cyber cafe, and we used to, that was a time when we had, like, we used to chat with one another using Google, so not Google, Yahoo chat, where there were different groups, different rooms. Any room you go, just text then person from there, he responds to you. So that was a kind of fun during that time, talking to
Mm.
strangers, just texting. There was no video call or something. Video camera and all that came again, but still it was, and just people, they had to pay extra money for that, for video camera. So Yahoo, it brought that idea where you can chat with one another, video chat and all that. But that's okay. See, our parents, my parents, even though they knew that we are going to internet cafe and we are, spending a lot of time over there, they never stopped us. Sometimes, they said, this is actually not good. You should not go. You are wasting your time. But we had that opportunity and we used it. So
Okay.
future also, 5 years or 10 years from now, there will be a different technological advancement or something like that, and the people of that particular age, of that particular year, they will have to use it. You cannot stop it. There is a
Cannot
reason why, there is a lot of research going on. There's a lot of development going on in terms of innovation and something. But if you believe that the child, your son or daughter, they are, instead of spending time on studies, they're spending a lot of time on something else. which is not productive, which is not helping them grow, so definitely they can make some restrictions there. It depends on people how exactly they want to make those restrictions. But yes, we cannot stop it.
They cannot stop. So we have to go along with the reality, right?
We have to go along with whatever we see in the world right now. But at the same time, if you see I mean, the benefits are like deprived, or maybe not deprived. I mean, the benefits are not helping, or the students, the people, children, they're misusing it. Then you can bring different kind of steps. You can take different steps there to tackle that problem and see how things are happening. So see, I must tell you now, if you talk about innovation, so many government schools these days, even they're having innovative challenges, innovations, and all that different startup ideas. All this kind of lot of buzz is going. So even in Telangana, yes, the students from the schools, they're sharing their idea, because these days everybody is talking about entrepreneurship. Okay.
Mhm.
So if a framework, it is brought to the school level also, where students, they are practicing entrepreneurship. They are talking about ideas, how things can be better, and how a new idea can be launched, and all that stuff. So a certain school, maybe the students are hearing it, okay, and when they go back home, then if they do not have this particular gadget or something to see, get the idea, explore, do some research or something like that, so the school will be the only source for them, source of knowledge, right? Apart from school, they go back home, they don't have anything. Randomly, when two friends meet, how can they talk about a new innovation?
Mhm.
It's just like word to word conversation. They won't be anything good at that. Now, if they go back to school, there, if the school does not have proper computer lab, internet connection,
They can just, yeah, utilize it.
totally they are going backward, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
So
it's like it will create a huge difference.
definitely, yes. So now to yes, exactly. The parents need to monitor what their kids are watching, and if there are some activities or some projects that they're working on, so definitely the parents have to provide them the material, but they have to check what
They
exactly
have
they're
to
doing.
monitor. Yeah, that is the thing. Because monitoring is missing.
Yeah, that is something the parents can do, and it's basically the parents' responsibility. And the school can give guidelines and guide them, tell them this is what they're supposed to do and this is what they're not supposed to do. But totally stopping them is actually it's a problem, because you see in lockdown also many parents, when the school started online education, what did they do? Many of them, they were having only one single mobile phone. They had to buy another one.
That is the thing. Because
There
if they
was
need education, somehow they have to take steps.
there was the need. The necessity was like, yes, if I'm not getting a mobile phone to my son or daughter, they are not going to continue their education. And in some locations where this is a big problem, where many parents cannot buy the phone, or they cannot afford a smartphone, so the government, they took some initiatives, by taking the classes on national channel, or maybe conducting some classes on radio channels or something like that, where at least they can hear it.
They can get it.
See, we are in an age where even in rural India, there are children who have the access to gadgets. Yes, not to that good level, but yes, many houses and many people there, they literally have mobile phones or smartphones there. But yes, it's us to see what exactly they are watching and how exactly we can support. So it's on parenting. Okay, the parents know they need to watch, they need to see what exactly their kids are doing, and tell them what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do, instead of totally stopping them. And apart from that, if the opportunity is not given, so how do you expect the child to compete with the contemporaries?
Then my last question to you: do you have any suggestions or any personal experience would you like to share with the teachers' fraternity, maybe in order to bring quality education to all types of schools?
Yeah, at this point of time, I think, like I said during one of the when I was giving the answers, like there was one point that I made. Whatever we are teaching in the classes, please focus on the learning aspect, which is really important. Do not simply ask the students to tell exactly what it is there in the book, but yes, check their knowledge, and if you can explain the concept in their own way, in a broken English also, it's fine. But if they are able to express it, or maybe using different concept maps. Concept map, I'm just saying a random. I mean, it is a broader thing. There are different things in under it. Different kinds of maps are available, like mind maps and infographics.
Yeah.
So if the child can at least use I mean, different kinds of my mind map to explain the concept or to tell what it is, the child, he will remember that for long. Now I'm telling you frankly, what I studied in school, even though I was a topper, I used to be like first or second most of the times. Like we used to study a lot, and maths was my favorite subject back then. So I do not remember what I studied in social studies. I do not remember what I studied in all that stuff. But the school really gave us the opportunity to speak English, focus on English communication and all that. Yes, that is why, maybe I'm able to speak English properly. It's all because of those teachers, and also that kind of learning environment or the learning experience they created. So maybe that environment they created, it was not expected to happen, or it was not supposed to be, but it made us, it created a product, it created us in a way that we are confident, we can express ourselves and we can communicate, with the people. So please focus on the learning, because learning, it's not just you ask and the answer then you're done. No. Okay, there are different levels of learning, there are different types of learners, so please focus on that. And if you can help your learners in a way that they basically need the learning to be, okay, I'm a tactile learner or kinesthetic learner if you say, and I'm also a visual learner. If you're uh, giving these examples or lecturing in front of me, within 5 to 10 minutes I'll get bored, even though I'm 30, 31 years old. I'm telling you frankly, if I'm a visual learner, yes, and also want to learn by doing it so that I'll remember it forever. So that is why, in computers and in science, there is a practical session, so that whatever they understand, whatever they learn, they have to go back to the lab or the science computer lab and practice it, right? So they do it and they learn. Now I'll in the live stream, yes. Even if whenever I go to this Friday khutbah and all that, or any lecture, within 5 to 10 minutes, I have this tendency to I
So
definitely get bored and all that. Something like that will be definitely happening to me. But at the same time, if you are showing something to me, like there are
some
videos,
visualization. Yeah.
visuals, or infographics, just looking at the infographic, I'll be able to express or understand this is what it is. And now, since I'm working as an education leader, if I'm going to take a class also, and imagine if I'm learning something, I've got some spiral books over here. If I'm learning something for the first time, okay, then I'm gonna write it down on a piece of paper, not just text, but literally I make some kind of design, maps, or something like that to put my to express my learning. And when I look at the map later, look at that particular design later, again I recollect, okay, is it really, whether it should come over there or not? So yes, there are different ways, to do all that. But this is, something I consider myself as learning. If I want to learn, this is the strategy that I have to use, and that is when I feel that I have learned something. Otherwise, if I'm just listening to, I mean, somebody is talking to me for 2 3 hours.
We may not be able to grab it. So grabbing the information in the right way is the most purposeful thing. And one more thing I just wanted to ask you. So the reports which we submit, like in the report cards, we only mention the marks. Okay, is it appropriate? Because when it is coming to a learning curve, it is not just about marks; it is about their skills, right? So,
It
what
is
do you
all
think?
about the skills. It's all about their conceptual understanding. So if the teachers, they are not equipped with how exactly the evaluation should be conducted. There are schools, there are teachers, those who are really doing an amazing work. They're checking the comprehension of the students. They focus only on that, how well they are understanding that these particular concepts and how well they are able to express them. Okay, so especially in many schools where we see, okay, in English you got you say 60 marks or 63 marks. Okay, those 63 marks are actually defining what the student memorized, how much he memorized, and how much he remembered during the examination. But when you talk to the child, if he is really speaking well, He's speaking really good English. Okay,
That means, yeah,
he
he has
deserves
good
something.
skills. Absolutely.
Yes. At a college, at my college where I studied, there was this English I mean, English. It was a subject there. So all my students, they used to hear it, listen, and they practice all that. Since I was having this English background, honestly, I'm speaking, I used to only sit, listen, everything, and whatever the grammar part the lecturer used to teach, I used to tell myself that I am already aware of it. Okay, because it were all basics. And in the examination, I used to get 95, 96, and all that. And the student who memorized each and every single letter, single word, they used to get 70, 75, 80. And they used to ask me, how did you get? I said, come on, man, it's a simple thing. So, see, marks or even the remarks, marks and remarks. In the report card, yes, they write good, very good, excellent. Okay, it happened. I went to the school of my sister where she studied. The teacher gave good, good, good in all the different subjects. So I
So
didn't.
on impact aspect, they are good. They are not mentioning it, right?
Yeah. So I asked the teacher, "You wrote good. Okay. Can you tell me in what way she is good? Where exactly she is good? And where she needs improvement?" The teacher said blah 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 something, and then the principal saw me asking this question, and then he said, "Amjad, please come." And then he said, "Amjad, see, you are working in Kerala. They definitely, the teachers you will find, they will definitely, be that good enough to express it, explain it, okay. But generally, there are challenges with the other teachers in some states where they cannot explain why, where, and all that questions. Whether in what areas a child is really good and what areas a child is not good. So see, yes, there are schools now who are trying this approach. They are making it very comprehensive and comprehensive report where they literally write the remarks, not just one particular word. There are different. Definitely, there will be some sentences which even now parents they want to know. They ask this question: Tell me where he needs improvement or she needs improvement. Don't write good or very good. It is not going to satisfy me as a parent. If
Absolutely.
I'm if I'm going to my child's school tomorrow and the principal or the teacher they say the child is good, I'm not going to go to that school again. No, I don't want my child to be at this particular school.
So thank you very much, sir. I'm very grateful to have you as a guest in this session. Your
Thank
all
you.
the answers are really very precise and very informative. Yeah.
Thank you very
And
much, Mr. Shafiq. Any questions from the audience if you have?
yeah, we've got a couple of audience. In the chat box is active, but everybody
Yeah,
is just
yeah, I think
wishing
I
us.
have some comments. Yes.
Yeah, some progress. Anyways, I'll
Yeah.
share these links to the other viewers as well.
Sure,
So maybe
definitely.
in the comment box we may get later responses. So if I receive any responses, I'll surely share it to you. So
Definitely, Mr. Shafiq, and thank you for this time. I really enjoyed this session. The moment you told me that about this session, I was really excited, and I really wish you all the best. You're doing an amazing work,
thank you
and
so
I
much.
believe that 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you will be among the top educators in India, and definitely there will
Thank
be
you,
a
sir.
lot of contribution from your side. And I wish that people they regard you and they consider you as a real educator who focuses on the real issues coming up or providing the real solutions, not just the common solutions we all heard throughout our life, throughout these 10
Absolutely.
years of my career, and nothing is really helping anybody. So I wish you all the best, and please keep doing whatever you're doing. And anytime in anybody, okay, they need my help, so you can easily reach out to me. I'll be always there to help anybody.
Sure, sure, sir. Sure, sure. Definitely. Because I need your assistance in future as well. Because I'm thinking to bring a lot of information in my own school as well. So inshallah, I'll get back to you. I'll be in touch with you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shafi.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for giving
Have a
your
nice
valuable time.
evening.
Inshallah, we will have some discussion in future. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so take care, and have a nice day.
sure.